Hi, everyone. Welcome to NAMM headquarters. This is Merryl Luehrsen, Director of Public Affairs, Government Relations for NAMM, and Executive Director of the NAMM Foundation. And welcome to our kickoff for the Support Music Coalition for the 2013-14 back-to-school season. This is a pre-show that we're hosting several guests prior to the official webcast for this coalition that starts at 9 o'clock. So we're going to have a series of friends and guests stopping by to talk about various things. So a special shout out to start out to our great friends at the John Lennon Educational Tour Bus, which is parked out just a few feet from here. If we could push that wall out, we could see the bus parked out right in front of NAMM headquarters. And this is Ryan from the John Lennon School Bus. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us what your fall tour is like, how many days you've been on the road and where you headed next, and why are you involved in the Support Music Coalition?
It's so cool. We're so excited. You know, the John Lennon Bus has been going for many, many years, and we're so excited about supporting music education, helping, provide this access with the Lennon Bus all across the U.S. and going to schools coast to coast and giving them these opportunities. It's really exciting.
And the opportunity that they have on the bus is what? What happens when students come onto that remarkable bus?
It's so cool. You know, they could have, the students could have never touched an instrument in their lives. They could be proficient and well-versed in music, but we give them the access. We give them the opportunity to write an original song, make a music video, record it, record it all on board and be creative, give them an inspiration, show them that music is something tangible. Music is something they can grasp and have an outlet and hold on to and feel that they have ownership of.
That's great. If you have never seen a high-tech digital studio, this is one that's on wheels. It's pretty remarkable. So why is the Lennon Bus joined with the Support Music Coalition? Why is this so important now?
Well, absolutely.
Lennon's 70th year.
Of course, right. And also the fact that, obviously the way budgets are these days, there's so many cuts and there's so many, there's more than ever there's a reason to support music and education. And the Lennon Bus and obviously having John Lennon as a very important figure in this whole thing. When he was younger, his Aunt Mimi gave him a guitar, and it just took that little bit of inspiration for him to see that he could make something of himself.
It turned out pretty well for him.
At the time she was a little, she was skeptic of it, if it was actually something that that he could bring to fruition. But of course, it worked out. Today, we're carrying on his legacy through music education, and we want to reach kids all over the United States.
Yeah, it's really cool. So where do you go next? You're in Carlsbad today. You were in LA yesterday.
Yep, Tucson, Phoenix. We've got all kinds of dates coming up.
And who are you connecting with in Arizona tomorrow?
We're going to be at NAMM.
Yeah, the museum, Musical Instrument Museum.
Yep, and we're looking forward to that. We're going to have a special guest.
Yeah, tell us who that is.
We're going to have someone named Arnie Duncan.
Arnie Duncan. We're back. We're going to track him down with that bus. If you all remember, a year ago, we were with Secretary Duncan up in the Silicon Valley for the kickoff of that school year. So you're tracking him down again.
We are. We've been following him around, kind of seeing where he's going to be, and we're gonna meet up.
And you're going to carry this message to him again.
Absolutely.
And we know that he's a strong supporter of arts, the whole education for a whole child, I guess you could say.
Yep.
So we're glad for that. Please tell him that the entire coalition is watching and waiting. He's reaffirmed again through his offices the title funds can be used for music and arts education, and we're always eager to hear stories about that.
Absolutely.
So the Lennon 70th year. For those of us in that age group, we are at the Museum of Making Music here at NAMM headquarters. We're actually in the Beatlemania exhibit. I'll step out of the frame so you can see. So 70th year, what's so important about the 70th year?
I mean, for us, it's such an important part to be able to not only have been continuing John's legacy through the Lennon Bus for the last 16 years, but to be able to celebrate, John's birthday and his life and what he's done in the past is just an incredible opportunity.
Right, and again, those of us in like my age category, probably if it wasn't for the Beatles, we wouldn't be doing a lot of what we're doing. Ryan, have a great time on the road. I'm going to see you in a couple of other areas throughout the country, and we'll let you go. We're going to have some wonderful students come in and join us.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Ryan. This is also the first series of Support Music Community Forums that we're having here in Southern California. Our various guests for the coalition meeting are gathering, and we have some extraordinary guests that are part of our Support Music gathering, and this is the San Diego Youth Symphony OPUS Quintet, and they are sixth graders, I've just learned, and they're actually going to kick off our coalition meeting at about 10 of the hour. This is kind of a pre-show time together. And we are so thrilled that you are here. We had a little chat earlier. So why don't we just go through and I'll have each of you say your name and the instrument you play.
My name is Pedro Diego, and I play the violin.
And how long have you played?
I've been playing for 3 years.
3 years. And how about you? Your name?
Vanessa Zepeda. I'm 11 years old, and I play the double bass.
You play, and that's why you didn't bring it today. Your double bass is in the next room, right? It's right. And your name and instrument?
My name is Cesar Gonzalez, and I play the violin.
And how long have you played, Caesar?
I've played for 3 years.
3 years. And how about you?
My name is Brina Bello, and I've played the cello for 3 years.
3 years, great. And you?
My name is Brent Bautista. I'm 10, and I've been playing the viola for about 3 years.
Wonderful. And Dalouge Smith is with us. Dalouge, just tell us a little bit about the San Diego Youth Orchestra.
Sure. Well, San Diego Youth Symphony and Conservatory is like many youth orchestras around the country. We bring students together from all across the region to play orchestral music, wind music, and these are students that are learning music in other settings. We've now expanded our work to include working to restore music programs because we found there are so many communities where students weren't getting the opportunity to play music. And so now they are, and these 5 students are part of a whole group through our community OPUS project in Chula Vista, who've been playing music for 3 years, where we're getting more music.
That's so great. Who would like to answer a question about why playing a musical instrument is so important now and why you love it so much? Bruno, would you like to? Okay. Why is it so important?
Well, it's important because it actually helps in school. Before, I didn't want to go to school, and after I started playing, I stopped getting in trouble, and now I'm more engaged at school. And whenever I'm stressed, when I play, I'm no more stressed.
You know, we hear that all the time, and our research confirms that, and we share that research with people all over the country. And you're just one of the people that we're working so hard to make sure that you have a chance to learn music. Did you ever think you'd be playing your instrument as much as you're playing?
No, actually, I didn't even know what the cello was.
And how much do you play every day? Well, how much do you practice?
Minimum 1 hour.
1 hour a day. Is your grandfather here? Did I meet your grandfather? Did he come and hear you today?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's so cool that is anyone else's family here today for the forum meeting? Yeah. Who's here from your family?
My mom is here.
Your mom is here. Are all your parents kind of amazed that you play an instrument? Yeah. How about you, Vanessa?
My parents are very proud of me.
Very proud of you. Yeah. We can't wait to hear what you're going to play. What are you going to play today? Well, we'll say it again later, but tell us what you're going to play.
La Réjouissance.
Say that again.
La Réjouissance.
Okay. What else are you going to play?
Pink Panther.
Pink Panther. All right. What else?
We're also going to play El Toro.
Altora. And was there one more that you're going to play?
We're going to play Orpheus in the Underworld.
Orpheus, that's a very scary piece of music. That's wonderful. That's great. Well, we're so thrilled to have you because a reminder to all, the Support Music Coalition works hard to make sure that music education is strong in every community around the world, really, but of course here in the United States. And all of you are so grateful that you're here because you're the reasons that we're doing this important work. So we thank you for inspiring us. We can't wait to hear you. I heard you practicing. It was wonderful. So we'll let you go and get ready to play for us in a few minutes. All right. Thank you so much. It's great to have these students with us. Just a word about what's coming ahead this year for the Support Music Coalition. We are working this fall with the John Lennon Educational Tour Bus to present a series of support music community forums around the country. And this is our very first here in Carlsbad, California. And we've gotten confirmations that we'll be doing these forums in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, and I think in Indiana. We're working on Indiana. So we'll be in touch with our coalition partners and affiliates in those communities, hoping that you can come and join us and be part of this effort. You know, the coalition has been involved with various partners throughout the country, and we certainly work on the federal level. Many of our partners work on the state level. And our forum gatherings this fall is all about bringing communities together so we can advance the dialogue and the action to keep music education strong. So one of our guests today is someone that we've heard fairly often on our coalition calls over the years, Dr. Childress-Evans. How are you? I'm good. The head of Visual and Performing Arts. We've called it VAPA over the years. I'm acronym challenged, so I always have to spell them out a little bit. And that you with the San Diego School District. So we're so grateful that you're here again. And you know, I think our experience with San Diego is that we all feel crisis mode in the spring, and then we have what's known as clawback, or we call back programs. So I asked you earlier to share, you've been at this for a long time, right?
This is my 10th year. Oh no,
10th year. And where are we now relative to where it's been in the past?
Well, I think it's been a roller coaster, really. You know, we see as the economic landscape changes, so does education. I think that in San Diego Unified, one of the things that's been really special for us is that we are the best kept secret for our arts programs. You'll hear everywhere that the arts are being cut, and our music programs are strong. Even though we've experienced about 5 years of economic crises, one after another, the state budget crises and education took a huge hit. But our Board of Education has been very focused and supportive of where we're supposed to be. So even though the money goes away, we still have our people. We have trained, credentialed teachers in the classroom teaching music. We have music at every single one of our middle schools, every single one of our elementary schools, and almost all of our high schools, and that will be all soon. So, and that's a huge feat for the second largest school district in the state of California.
And let's face it, it takes persistence and struggle and perseverance and commitment. So I know it takes a strong leader, Karen, and we know that you're a very strong leader, but tell us about the other community of advocates, be it school administrators, teachers, parents.
Well, of course, it starts with the school board, and we have a brand new superintendent who is very gung-ho the arts, and especially music. She's always wanted music in her schools, and she wants it for all students, not just some students. We have 60 active partnerships, arts partners throughout the county, including universities and colleges. We have guitars in the classroom. We have community council for music in the schools. Without them, we would not have enough musical instruments to provide the instruments the kids need when they want to take an instrumental music program. So we have the symphony, the opera. I can go on forever, and I don't want to miss anybody. Classics for kids. They're all just very integral part of what we do. The San Diego Youth Symphony has been huge because it gives our kids some place to go outside of their instruction. They receive this instruction in the school. They go out into the communities. That's what Best Communities for Music Education is all about, is the community part of that and the give and the take that comes with that.
It does take a community, but never forgetting that we want the arts funded as a core academic subject.
Absolutely, and what is exciting in our district, in San Diego Unified, is that our board has now made it a point. They want to have strategic arts plan for our music and arts programs. They want to fund it. They fund 25 elementary instrumental music specialists from our office, and they've continued to fund that. And this is core curriculum. We expect everybody to get it, not just some. We want everyone to have it.
So important, so inspiring. Karen, we can't wait to hear your remarks later on the panel. Thank you so much for being and for everything that you do every day.
Thank you, Mary,
I want to bring Laura Bodmer in here. Laura Bodmer is NAMM's Director of Public Affairs and Social Media. Good morning, Laura. I'm so glad to have you. And we have just a last few hours with Laura, actually, as she's headed out to have a major life event. Laura has actually extended her time with us before she goes on maternity leave. So thank you so much for helping us organize the kickoff of these forums. You've been so integral in helping us organize and spread the message about the value of music education. And as a public relations professional, what is the value of this message? And how is it important, and how can communities use it for their own visibility?
You know, any good advocacy campaign comes with a public relations component, and that's getting the grassroots in your community behind your message. And in the case of arts education, it's a message that the media is open to. The stories feature children and music making, and they're very visual. So what we do is we use different times of the year. The spring school budget season is a really important time to be talking to the community about the importance of arts. Back to school, when kids are thinking about getting involved and upping enrollment in music programs, is really important. And then using things like your holiday concert season, which would be great local coverage.
So in other words, making the quality and the activity of a music education program, it should just be a regular plan throughout the year. If you've got an elementary band playing, you've got to be putting out news about it, right?
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. You've got
press.
parents as an audience, you've got a weekly community newspaper as an audience.
Yeah, and I think it's finding the reporters that care about that, building relationships with your local education reporters, and finding out which media and bloggers in your area have an affinity for music making and will be a real open audience. And you build those relationships, and they come back and help spread the word about your program.
So what is the feeling from the press about music in the schools? Is it like kind of out there on the Save the Whales category, or do they really get invested in it? And
we see amazing coverage, and I think one of the places that NAMM Foundation sees the best coverage, as you know, Mary, is around the Best Communities for Music Education program, where we see almost 700 news clips from around the country come in, and they're celebrating music programs in their community. A Harris poll done by the Americans for the Arts that you're aware of had 93% of Americans feel that music education is vital. Arts education in general is vital to a well-rounded education, and that's reflected in the media as well. It's a positive story, and one that people do like to share.
We need to leverage that goodwill, and sometimes, yes, it's staying up late at night and cranking out a press release or sending a photo, and especially now with social media, it seems like there's sort of no excuse now not to tell the story. How is social media taking over so much of this activity relative to the media?
That's how you help build and support coalitions like the Support Music Coalition, and keep a conversation going and include decision makers in your tweets. Creating a trend with the hashtag music ed or arts ed. We do that quite a bit at NAMM and see our partners do that as well. And social media is more than just a quick tweet. It's also able to share videos and photos of your program that are inspiring, and hopefully will be shared not only in your community but to decision makers.
So speaking of which, be sure you're tweeting about today's event. I don't know what the hashtag is for today's event, but if you're watching us, I'm sure you can find Support Music is the hashtag. So great, Laura. Thank you. Good luck. We know you're not going to be far away in the months ahead as this precious bundle arrives.
Well, I look forward to the rest of the morning.
Thank you for all that you do to help our effort going forward. We are closing in soon on our student performance. I'd like you just to have a quick hello to Carolyn Grant, who is the executive director of this wonderful Museum of Making Music, which thank you so much for hosting us today. I hear there's a lot of people next door. I think we have a nice crowd, do we?
There's a nice crowd next door, and very excited to be here and to be participating in this event.
And we have a lot of folks hopefully logging in. We we don't know until we're done if we actually had anyone out there listening to us.
How could they not be logging in?
If you're out there, please send us a note at supportmusic@namm.org or tweet us, or I don't know. text us and let us know. Like us on Facebook. We're kind of all over the place, so we want to make sure. I think we're up on the Lennon bus too. So no reason not to be tuned in. And if you're tuned in and you think someone else should, just send them the link and let's get everybody online. So tell us where we're standing here. How many galleries in the museum?
Well, we've got 5 permanent galleries and a special exhibition gallery, and our history starts in about 1900, the turn of the last century, we have to now say. And we look at the accomplishments and impact of the music products industry and the development of the tools that enable us to make music.
And the tools are vast.
Well, the tools are vast. I mean,
and it's
and
all,
they're ever changing.
And it's all an output of what I keep saying of a creative industry, a
Right.
creative industry of inventors. Edison was a member of a NAMM.
Absolutely.
We remember, we will have to kind of scratch our head and go, you mean the inventor
Yeah.
of the light bulb was a member of the Music
NAMM.
Products Trade
Absolutely.
Association?
Well, everything's tied together. You know,
Right.
that's what we keep finding as we do more and more special exhibitions and as we hone our permanent exhibitions, that, you know, the innovations that are out there, you know, in general, you know, we all impact one another. It's a cycle. It's a cycle of music making. It's from, you know, technology that's available to the instrument builder that adopts that technology and creates a new instrument, or a musician that has a need for a particular instrument or is looking for a particular sound, and then the response to that need, and then how the creativity of musicians then pushes that sound of that instrument to another level.
It's interactive. It's interactive.
It's interactive.
Or you say cycle, I think is a better way.
Yeah, and we're really looking at this. What we are envisioning is a cycle of music making that people aren't necessarily always aware of.
And when you come here and you have so many, you've evolved to become a real hands-on experience.
Yes.
And that's changed in the time that I've been associated with NAMM.
It's all about people connecting to music making and connecting to music history. You know, I think we've got more of a chance of opening people's minds to the impact of what this of musical instruments if they can touch them. I mean, I know that, you know, as a kid, what turned me on to music was pushing down a key on a piano. That's it.
You have to make music.
But you just have to touch it. It doesn't take that much, you know. And we hope
We
to be able to open that door.
The great story of Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
The great story when he and a bunch of his buddies were actually broke into an armory in Seattle. I'm going to probably tell it all wrong. All the Quincy people out there will let me know. And he actually, a door got kind of opened, and there was a piano, and he went in and touched a key, and it was the beginning of one of the most important musical icons of our time, Quincy Jones. So, and I think they were in that armory, kind of scrounging through the kitchen and eating pie and doing things that teenage boys might do when they have a little too.
Well, you know, it's really important to give children and adults the opportunity to just touch all sorts of different instruments, because it's my belief that there is an instrument out there that will resonate with a person.
Right.
You know, and I think sometimes, you know, we need to give the opportunity for people to find that instrument.
Right.
You know, for somebody it might be the bassoon.
Right.
And for others it might be the mandolin. I mean, there's a visceral physical connection that we also have.
Right. Carolyn, thank you so much. We really invaded the museum today, and we're really grateful.
Anytime. Come back
we love
anytime.
it. And I'm hearing the important and precious strains of our wonderful students from Chula Vista. So we're going to segue right now to their performance, and we'll see you live for the start of our webcast at 9 o'clock Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Thank you so much for being part of our first Support Music Community Forum, and stay in tune as we roll out these events this fall, because together we're going to keep music education strong. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for getting up early and playing for us. I mean, is there any better example of why we do what we do than right here? Yes. So really thanks to the San Diego Youth Symphony, OPUS, Quintet. Thank you, guys. Morning. I know some of you. I don't know all of you. I'm Joe Lamond. I work upstairs at NAMM. And welcome to the industry headquarters and to the Museum of Making Music. We're here today to talk about some very important things that we are really hold near and dear. And we've got some of the best education leaders in San Diego with us today as well. You know, I thought Mary would ask me to say a few words about NAMM, and many of you know us well, but there's a lot of people, especially that on the webcast, who may not know what NAMM is as the organization. I've been here for a number of years, and my wife still probably doesn't know what I do for a living. I'm in the music business, so when she describes what does an association do, what is NAMM, and you know, I can probably just sum it up as we represent all the companies who really make these wonderful and beautiful instruments and sound products around the world for all of us to play. And we have the privilege and honor of representing those companies. And as an industry, our vision is a world where everybody appreciates, the joy of making music. I'm just going to read our vision statement because I think it sums up who our industry, who we are as people, and who our companies are as our culture. We envision a world in which the joy of making music is a precious element of daily living for everyone. We envision a world in which every child has a deep desire to learn music and a recognized right to be taught. And in a world in which every adult is a passionate champion and defender of that right. That's who our industry is, and that's what we believe. How do we represent these industry, issues? Our business model is really simple, actually, and this is something that I found to be compelling after 113 years of NAMM's existence. It's a really simple model. We produce trade shows around the world, and that's like basically where all the new instruments are debuted. Thomas Edison was a NAMM member, and you can see in Gallery 1 where some of those great products of the day were debuted at NAMM shows. And after paying all the bills to those NAMM shows, there's sometimes something left over. Sometimes. Last 5 years, maybe not so much. But what's left over, we take and then reinvest into promoting music and music education and funding research about why music is so important, and then promoting it to the general public. You saw some of the TV trucks out there today. That's part of what we're doing today. Because people understand the value of music more, then there's more focus on music education. More people are able to play music. Ultimately, some of these companies grow, and because they grow, they come back to our trade show, and that grows. And that's really a simple circle. Trade show, reinvest what's left over, promote music, music grows, the companies grow, trade show grows. And that's the model for 113 years of NAMM's business. So we're grateful for that support from our members. We actually have a lot of people listening in today. The John Lennon bus, who I'll talk about in a second, have been really great at this technology. We are streaming live, and we've had several hundred people around the world and organizations around the world watching us right now, including, I think, even our chairman, Larry Morton, from Hal Leonard Publishing, is in Milwaukee. I'm not sure what the weather's like in Milwaukee, Larry, but welcome. But one of our little traditions are all the people who are here with us today. Can we give a round of applause to our cyber audience? So let's thank all the people who have logged in today. We appreciate their being here. We're here today to kick off the school year and to kick off that dialogue about the importance of music and arts education. And we're also here to kick off a series of community forums that are going to happen around the country this fall. And these community forums are going to bring community leaders together with parents and teachers, and it's really, I think, designed to further that dialogue about why music and arts are so important to our education system, and then to do something about it. These decisions are made locally, and to get the groups together that have that power to impact local education is really the purpose of these forums. We want action, we want outcome, we want positive outcome for the kids around our country. And so this community forum is really something we will be spearheading and with a great partner, as a matter of fact. You may have seen the John Lennon educational bus when you came in outside, parked in our parking lot. It's a beautiful state-of-the-art music recording studio, and just really an ambassador for all the great things that music can bring to a community. And I was on there earlier playing drums myself, and I just think it's one of the coolest things if you haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you guys got to go on the bus. I hope you did. It's really, before you leave, get on the bus. It's really cool. But they're a great partner, and they will be traveling around the country with us in these community events. We have really a packed hour here today. We're going to try and cover a lot of ground. So I'd like to introduce the executive director of the Museum of Making Music to talk a little bit about where we are. Where are we standing here today, and what is the role of this museum here in Carlsbad, California, all year long, and what is its impact on NAMM's vision all year long. So Carolyn Grant, executive director of the Museum of Making Music, come on up.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Our work here at the NAMM Museum of Making Music is to open doors to music making. And at the center of this work lie our exhibitions that reveal the creative, dynamic, and sometimes surprising roads that we have traveled to provide the world with the tools that allow us to express ourselves and our human experience through music. Music is an active process, however, and so it is our responsibility as a museum, in addition to sharing information, to invite people of all ages to actually step through those doors and enter the world of music making. And in doing so, our museum has become a hub for community music making, enjoyment, and appreciation. Some examples, our Music Ventures school tours, which we provide free of charge to Title I schools, as well as our other educational programs, give children hands-on access to all sorts of instruments and musical styles in an effort to spark curiosity, to see the possibilities, and to inspire them to find their own unique voice, like these children here today, within the crowd. And further, we encourage a broad definition of the term music maker, from instrument designer, builder, engineer, music journalist, photographer, accountant, teacher, and musician. If a person wants a life around music, like so many of us do, we want people to know, especially children, to know that there is a place for them. Our programs for adults, including our band and orchestra programs, open a different door. Probably not one that will lead to a lifetime of professional musical performance, because our adult orchestra has played that song that they played today after much work. It did not sound anything like that. But our adult programs, our hope is that we can fulfill a dream, someone's dream of playing a musical instrument, lift one's spirits, stimulate one's mind, body, heart, and to provide all of the elements of a full human experience. We are a museum that celebrates an intricate process that is like no other. We serve over 30,000 people a year from the general public at our site here in Carlsbad, and many more through our programs, concerts, and outreach. And for those of you who are watching through the webcast today, we hope that you will visit us on your next trip out to California. We're just down the street from Legoland and up the street from the Pacific Ocean, so could be a nice little getaway for you. And we hope that all of you will visit us online at museumofmakingmusic.org to stay informed about our exhibitions and our programs. In fact, our next exhibition is on California history, sheet music, and then the one following that is on banjos. So a lot coming up in the next year. We're thrilled to be here today to share our space, both physically and virtually, to support music, and we look forward to the many additional ways in the coming years that we can do our part to participate in making this a more musical world. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Carolyn Grant, and thank you so much for hosting us here at the Museum of Making Music. Joe is going to be back here to sort of introduce our next segment. He's pulled away to do a live TV event to promote music education, so he's definitely where he needs to be. I'm Merryl Luehrsen, Executive Director of the NAMM Foundation, and thank you so much for being here. This Support Music Coalition Community Forum event really kicks off the second decade of the Support Music Coalition. In January 2013, we celebrated our 10th anniversary officially at the NAMM show with a wonderful live webcast. And now with our great students here and our guests today, we're celebrating the kickoff of the school year. You know, the coalition started with the idea of, we knew from our research, and we knew that people cared passionately about music education and that children should have the opportunity to learn music. But we weren't really sure if the actual work of making that happen was as united or as clear as it needed to be. So the coalition came together to really support the work that needed to be done for advocacy for music education, to make sure that every child had access to a standards-based, high-quality music education in schools taught by highly qualified teachers. And I want to thank our steering committee for the coalition and list their names and affiliations and hope that they're online. And I give them a wave and a smile and a wink and thank them so much for their guidance and their support over the years. We are very grateful to have a national partner in this effort, the National Association for Music Education. They're our formal partner in the coalition, and I thank Michael Blakesley and Chris Woodside for their great advice and counsel. Deb Bresnan of Profiles All the Right Stuff. Bob Morrison of Quadrant Arts Education Research, must note also a former NAMM staffer. Bob, we walk in your shadow. Marcia Neal, a music educator and music supervisor in the Clark County School District, now the Music Education Consultants is her firm. Minzy Pittman, NAMM member of Contemporary Music Center in Virginia. Narek Rome, Senior Director of Federal Affairs for Americans for the Arts, which is our nation's arts advocacy organization. Mark Despakakis, also a NAMM member of Progressive Music, that's going to help us with the Pennsylvania forums. Thank you, Mark. Dee Jones of the Indiana PTA and the National PTA. Thank you, Dee, for your great inspiration. Heather Noonan, the League of American Orchestras, Senior Director for Advocacy. The Youth Orchestra is part of that organization. Dalouge, thank you so much, Heather, for your great work. Lori Schell of Music Makes Us, the Nashville Public Schools. Scott Schofield of Wood Violins, former mayor of Dana Point, who coined the term for this year that our coalition effort must be relentlessly positive. When we're talking about music education and the joy of music in a child's life, that's the nature of our coalition effort. We are relentlessly positive. And this year I call all of us to the campaign themes for this year, which we'll be repeating many times, that we want to celebrate music education and expand visibility and awareness of the benefits. We want to engage school and community leaders, inform about the benefits of music education as essential to the core curriculum. And we want to support and celebrate arts education teachers and the remarkable work that they do every day. And that's really the work that we have ahead of us this year as we go forward. I'd also like to remind you that today, officially, this week, actually starting yesterday, Monday, is officially the Arts Education Week in America, decreed by the U.S. Congress. Now, no matter how you feel about the Congress, they did do one really great thing correct a year or so ago. And no matter how we feel about them, we need to come together and support people that are good people that have to make hard decisions every day. But I invite you to bookmark and go right now, and don't leave the website, but after the website's done, don't leave the webcast. That is Arts Education Partnership. That's at aep-arts.org, where you can get some wonderful materials to send on to your school administration and parents about the value of arts education in America. And this is also a very important part of our network, and we thank Sandra Rupert and the great leadership there. And also, if you're planning on any recruitment drives to get more kids involved in music education programs this coming year, encourage you to go to the NAMM Foundation and check the Music Achievement Council tab, where you're going to find some wonderful practical information about helping kids and parents understand what it is to start an instrument. So we encourage you to do that. So now I want to jump right into our panel and welcome the folks that are with us today, and I thank you so much for being with us and for lending your expertise and your support. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of who's here, and then we're going to jump right in. So first we have Adam Bovie, who's the director of bands of Carlsdale High School. Dr. Karen Childress-Evans, director of the Visual and Performing Arts of San Diego Unified School District, no stranger to the Support Music Coalition. We've featured her many times. Welcome Dr. Merryl Goldberg, who's department chair of Cal State San Marcos Visual and Performing Arts, founder and director of Center Arts. We can't wait to hear about your important work. Dalouge Smith, the director of the San Diego Youth Symphony. Thank you for bringing us those brilliant children, 6th graders, who played so wonderfully. And Dr. Devin Vodicka, who is the new superintendent of the Vista School District, former superintendent of the Carlsbad School District. So we are a local advocacy forum. We're so eager to hear from you. Thank you for being with us. So we'll jump right into our questions that we've prepared and the dialogue that we like to have with our advocacy experts and our community leaders. So let's just do a quick round robin. The format is kind of a round robin. If you're on the line and want to send a question to supportmusic@namm.org, we'll try to field it and bring it for you. So let's just hear from each of you. What have been some of the challenges and how have you overcome them to assuring that music education is part of the core curriculum in your school, district, or community? And you know, we're all friends here. We're all working for the same thing. We want to hear not only about how great you did to overcome a challenge, but we want to hear really what were some of the pure challenges, because there's communities all over the country really facing them. So who shall I call on first? Or who would like to start? Who will be head of the class? Karen, Dr. Childress-Evans.
Well, I think in San Diego Unified School District, it's the second largest school district in the state of California. I think our major struggle was getting arts into the classroom and getting music into the classroom. Not so much that nobody wanted it. I was told when I took over this position, nobody wants it, forget it, just go die or something. I don't know. But as I talked to people, I found out that I couldn't find one person that didn't want the arts, especially music, in the classroom, but they didn't know how to do it. And so I think it behooves all of us, parents, to be very loud and clear that you want the music instruction, for administrators to find qualified teachers, and for the decision makers in every district, especially the Board of Education. We've been blessed to have a real strong, positive Board of Education that supports the arts, but to find that money so that the money is consistent. You don't have to go out and have a bake sale every time you want to change a string on an instrument. We need to have that consistency of funding, and that's systemic, and sometimes hard to do.
Sometimes hard. What other challenges and successes? Dalouge.
One of the things that when the San Diego Youth Symphony and Conservatory started choosing to invest our time and energy into building more support for school music, one of the things that we discovered is that music teachers live a very isolated life on their campuses. They don't have a cadre of peers like the math teachers may or the language arts teachers may that are on their campuses. Quite often their administrators don't know or understand the work that they do. Sometimes they won't even be visiting their classroom except to sort of walk in and be sure the kids are in there. I hope that's not the case with the superintendent we have here. Right. But I think that is a common circumstance. And so we found as a community partner that we are really able to help those music teachers feel some more connection to a larger world. And music teachers do a lot to gather in their associations. But in the everyday life, if there's a community partner that's also got a presence on a campus, it just changes the character of the entire campus for the benefit of the music teacher and the students and ultimately the whole community.
Great. I want to hear from, we actually do have we have a bona fide band director on the panel. Yay!
A rare bird in today's
Adam, you've been deep in all this on many sides, and then he has to stand on the podium and everybody has to play in tune. So how does this tell us about challenges.
So
and
some
overcome-
challenges that I've seen are, as Dr. Childress-Evans said, everybody seems to want music education, both at the top and the bottom level. But the challenges kind of stem for me from having people see what's out there. As you said, Dalouge, everyone kind of leads an isolated life, and I found that really extends to the community, where I have parents here in Carlsbad who are working really hard to make sure that their kids have the best life they can have. Before I was at Carlsbad, I was at Grossmont in East County. A lot of parents with two incomes families that are working 10, 12 hours a day, and they're kind of isolated. They don't see kind of what's out there, and that kind of extends to the music community as well. When I take my groups, when I have the budget to take my groups to a festival, and the kids see, wow, this other district has all this funding and all this really great music education, and they get elementary music, wow, what's that? The kids see what's going on. The parents are kind of the other end of that, where if I can get parents to come in, it's a challenge to get everybody engaged and to just have the time to come in and see, wait a second, why does their kid get music all the way from 4th grade till now? So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is there are certain things that I can't say to my bosses and to district offices and whatever, just because of the precariousness of positions. It's great to have the parents go up to the district office, to the board meeting, and say, we want this. When the parents come by and say that, that's where the challenge gets solved. That's where we start to have things like Dr. Childress-Evans at the board saying, I think the parents are pretty clear that they want this right now, so let's make it happen. Having that advocacy from both the bottom and the top end, and kind of being stuck in the middle as an educator, where I'm loving my job and I love the fact that the kids love what they do, but it's so hard to get both the parents and the administration to be involved for just that little, it just takes an hour or two of one day to have them go to one festival, to have them go to one performance and say, there's a lot of stuff out here in the community. We should make sure we have that.
And that's the role of advocates. The advocates is to move the needle, to be the snowplow on the idea. We also have a bona fide superintendent with us. We'd love to, whether you know it or not, you represent all throughout the country.
No pressure here.
No pressure.
No
But
pressure.
Again, I've had conversations with school boards and superintendents from around the country who have made some really, really tough decisions the last 10 years. With the pressures of testing, accountability, and everything. And I try to, I don't try to scare them with our issue. We're being relentlessly positive. Is the really good people have had to make some really hard decisions over these years about access to all sorts of things in education. Sometimes school psychologists, school nurses. I mean, we know. So what are the challenges and what are the opportunities from the perspective of music education?
Sure. So, I think it's important to recognize that challenges exist at every level, whether it's at a classroom level, a school level, a district level, statewide level. And at the core is competing demands and not enough time, not enough money. Often a lack of qualified staff is a real problem, especially in music education. But the solution, if you listen to just the few comments we've heard this morning, is to bring people together and to bring people together to connect, to celebrate the positive things that are occurring. I love the focus on being relentlessly positive. I think we have to look at music and the arts as being additive, not subtractive. There's not a competition, meaning we're taking one thing away and adding something else. It's adding to, and I think there are some great examples of building on good things that have happened by bringing people together, developing relationships with universities, with other school districts, with outside agencies. That seems to be the best approach to keeping momentum moving forward in a positive direction.
So you're kind of giving me one of the rationales for the value of a local coalition.
Mm-hmm.
You could call it a local coalition, or you could call it just a group of concerned citizens. Has this been helpful in your work as a school and educational leader to know that there's parents that are moving in a certain direction on an idea?
Yeah, coalitions are very powerful. If you think about school organizations, you look at something like the PTA, has great influence on what happens in schools and what we do in education. And the power of coalitions and collaborative relationships cannot be underestimated.
In anyone where there are two or three gathered together, there could be a coalition. Is
That's
that
correct.
about right?
Yes, it's that Margaret Mead quote, right?
Right, or is that a Margaret Mead quote? I think, right? It's somebody's quote. I didn't make it up. But in other words, the feeling, oh, I can't start a coalition. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to do advocacy. I've never talked to a school board. But in other words, this relentless positiveness could actually
And
grow.
we have to celebrate the positive achievements of our students, and having performances, exhibitions, anything where we can gather together as a community to just marvel at what kids are able to do is going to create positive relationships and create positive momentum.
Dr. Goldberg, you have a wonderful history in all of this. So.
Yeah, everything resonates. I'm in a unique position because I see the kids that come through the school districts at the college level, and I'm faced with working with future teachers who don't know the difference between a trumpet and a trombone, who can't name composers, who don't know even what a visual artist is because of what has happened. But the thing that really drives me in all of this is that at the very bottom, we know that kids are enormously capable. And we have to find ways to give them the opportunity to really find their ability. So if a kid never has the opportunity to be in a music class, we don't know how wonderful they could be. And this is the thing that keeps driving me over and over and over, that we've got kids who are phenomenally capable, haven't had the opportunity. And that's what really is also at the core of what Adam was speaking to a little bit, which is equity. And that we've got research from the Department of Education that has shown over the last 10 years, arts education, including music, hasn't lost ground in the United States. However, it's really lost ground with kids in high poverty settings. And so one of the things that we have to pay a special attention to is ensuring that kids have this opportunity. And I think one of the ways to do it, and everyone said it already, is we need to hear from top down, from folks like Devin, from other administrators, from county superintendents, that the arts are core, music is core. We're going to pay attention to it, because then the grassroots and the parents can bank on that. So we actually do need this both ways in terms of advocacy, equity, and really ensuring that the kids have a chance and an opportunity.
I think our panel deserves a round of. Great first question.
Can I give that equity
absolutely.
face? These children actually who are here today are in a school district that had not had music for 15 years, and when San Diego Youth Symphony, we are running a program for students who have had access and who have access to music education. And when we started to understand and analyze who were the students coming to San Diego Youth Symphony, we discovered that they were overwhelmingly middle and upper class income level students. And when we then started to overlay that data with where do they live, we realized that even though we were aware that the Chula Vista community in the Sweetwater Union High School District has music at the middle school and the high school level, the elementary level music had been absent for so long that the students were starting music in the 7th grade were not in a position to sit side by side with students who had started with private lessons or with other access to music in school at the elementary age. So that's why we came to Chula Vista and started working with 3rd graders, because we thought we've got to actually build from the earliest ages going forward. And you can see these are 6th graders. They've been playing for 3 years, and they're playing completely independent without conductors. The 5 of them are a performing ensemble, even though they're also part of a larger orchestra. So that the reality is, one of our challenges is not a shortage of children that want to learn music.
I think if I could, I want to do an analogy of that, is that you can't feed a nation immediately on a garden. A garden has to be planted and cultivated and grown and harvested. And I think that one of the things our society does is that instant gratification. Oh gosh, I've got to cut, somebody will cut the elementary. And by doing that, the elementary music, you're cutting the heart of a program. If you want music, don't cut it anywhere, But but if you do, it's going to take time to bring it back, and you guys are phenomenal. The students here today were just amazing.
Dr. Vodicka, you have something to add?
Well, on that equity piece, we never know where students have talent in what area. And so it's so important that students have opportunities to have many experiences as they move through school. But I just wanted to share one quick story about how when you do tap into the talent of a student, it just opens so many doors. And so recently I was asked if we had a student from our district that could come and sing the national anthem at a conference for administrators. So I reached out to our music teachers. They sent a 9th grade girl, Lizbeth, who's very timid and shy. I had never met her before. And the state superintendent of public instruction was there. It was about 500 administrators, suits, ties, very intimidating crowd. And I wasn't sure how she was going to do, but she gets up and she sings the most amazing rendition of our national anthem. The crowd crazy with applause. The host recognizes that her parents are there, points them out. They get a standing ovation, so it was just a great surprise. But I had told her that after she sings, she didn't need to necessarily stay to listen to us talk about administrative matters. She took me up on that opportunity. She left. Later on, the organization swore in their new president. And the president says, first order of business, we need to give a $1,000 scholarship to that amazing singer from Vista that sang the national anthem. So they approve it on the spot. It's very spontaneous. And I had the privilege of calling the family to share the good news. And Dad breaks down in tears on the phone. Didn't know how he was going to send his daughter to college. Now he knew that there was a chance. And I learned later that this was a girl who was so shy that when she started singing, she would turn her back to the audience because she wasn't confident. And so it's just an example of how once you do tap into the talents of our students, and they have so many, it opens up these doors that we can't even imagine for them. And we have so many talented and capable students. We have to find ways to tap into their passions and talents if we really want to help them to achieve their full potential.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. You know, Joe has a wonderful way of saying with this topic, it's wonderful to have human nature on our side.
Mm-hmm.
No, and then so we have the impetus of this energy in children. I mean, all these things. So then why are there the obstacles to fulfilling what they really need, this opportunity? And that's, again, we'll go to our next question about Frill, but I just want to ask Dr. Vodicka, when you work with your middle managers, right? When you work with your building superintendents and the people that you are charging, when you feel a resistance from them relative to scheduling and the priorities, does it just simply take time for them to come along? I mean, to come around to this point of view, or are you deliberate in putting people in positions or hiring people that are aligned to the value of arts and education?
Well, to be honest, I think like some of the other panelists have mentioned, I've met very few educators that are resistant to the idea that we need the arts in our curriculum. And so I haven't found that to be too much of a challenge, other than the anxiety that some have about accountability. If we spend a little less time on math and on language arts, am I going to suffer consequences because test scores drop? It's that kind of anxiety that creates some tension. So part of, I think, the role of leadership at the board level, superintendent level, building level is to remind our community what is the purpose of education, what is our broader purpose. And it's not just filling in bubbles on pieces of paper. It's to develop capacities and talents that help us to make the world a better place. And when you tap into that broader purpose, I think a lot of the anxiety dissipates.
And that's really the job of leadership, to keep that ahead. Right.
It's our collective responsibility as a society,
right, and that's
to keep that front and center.
Ultimately what the coalition is trying to be, the learning community and the leadership community that keeps reminding this. A quick question, please answer if you're interested. Are arts still considered a frill? Would anyone ever dare use that statement? Or are we still, are we fighting, is the angle less steep? Many of you have been in this work of advocacy for a long time. I think, Karen, you said earlier it comes and goes with the economic cycles in terms of the support and how hard the struggle is. But do we still encounter that? I mean, when I started teaching 1,000 years ago, it felt very steep to me. It feels a little flatter.
I think you're still going to encounter that for many different reasons. I've actually experienced administrators saying that he opened the door to my classroom and he saw no learning whatsoever going on. These kids were in groups, small groups, teaching each other a specific song that they were going to do for a talent show. I think it's very easy for uneducated or unexperienced, because educators are, we all went to school. But the lack of experience or opportunities for music in one's life leads you to look at that through the lens of a non-musician or a non-experienced person. And they open a door to music classes and they see kids having fun. They see kids laughing. They see kids goofing off.
Multi-sensory learning.
Because they're not quiet. They hear noise. And so I think there's a lot of, I don't see any learning going on there. And I don't want to be so cold as to use the word ignorance, but that should teach us something, that we need to continue to advocate for music for those well-meaning, well-educated people that don't understand the value of it.
I've always said to some music teachers that they need to have a lesson plan for the administration where they surround their classroom with principals, assistant principals, school board members, and then do the lesson and then say, and now we're doing this because. So they're actually training the decision makers about what's really going on. You were going to say something.
Yeah,
Adam.
I have to say I've only been teaching for about 3 years, and when I went to my student teaching and when I was in my pre-service college years in my last year getting my credential, it was amazing to me how everything was geared, especially in terms of education legislation, to kind of get everything to be concrete as opposed to something that's creative. Everything had to be planned, everything was a lesson plan, and we had to completely break everything down. And it was funny to me that we were doing all this work in terms of writing things down and making sure that we had standards-based education, and I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm going, as an artist, I've had to do this every time I prepare for a concert. My standard is, we have a concert at this point, and I'm putting my professional competency in the hands of sixth graders.
Scary.
For the public, right? And if you want to really teach or show an administrator something really, really positive, have them. When I was evaluated a little while ago, and my principal came in, and I was just standing on the podium doing my thing, teaching the kids from bell to bell, all the way. And my principal came up and said, you didn't have to plan a whole entire lesson where you were doing everything in front for me. And we have block schedules for this is 2 hours. And I said, this is what I do every day. And it's really, really amazing that the creative aspect of that is so different than some of the structures that we kind of select for in our student teaching. Again, this is only about 3 years ago when I was going through it, it was very clear that you were expected to be very regimented, very structured. And one of the greatest things I've ever heard was a quote by a Stanford University professor named Elliot Eisner, who said, the arts teach children that most exquisite of capacities, the ability to make judgments in the absence of rules. We do that. That's what we're really teaching here. I mean, most of my kids probably aren't going to go on to be professional musicians, but when an administrator walks in and sees, one of my students conducting the rehearsal because he's my drum major and all the other students have figured out they need to listen to him, and when they walk in and see a group of 5, 6 graders performing a concert with no help whatsoever, I mean, a lot of my parents are going, how'd you get them to do that? I can't even get him to clean his room. and yet they're able to do all this stuff. It requires a little bit of divergent thinking to be able to do this, and we kind of select away from that sometimes when we're training our teachers.
Yeah,
Merryl.
Adam is breaking one of the wonderful myths, that I think a lot of folks think, who haven't had a lot of arts education, that artists are kind of flaky or, what we do is kind of fluff. I remember I encountered
That's just
that.
drummers.
Oh, yeah. just drummers.
Joke.
Not bass players,
No,
for sure. Devin plays the bass.
Don't really understand
But
music.
once folks really understand what it takes to create, and practice and the discipline involved, and that it really is a whole series of things, they begin to understand that the arts ain't fluff, and that, the arts do incorporate all of this, creativity, discipline, perseverance, practice, preparation,
All
it
those
really
skills
is
you need to successfully
yeah.
get through life. If the bell's telling you need to be somewhere, hey, the kid's running tardy or whatever. If the rehearsal's going on and you know that you're letting down 100 of your classmates if you're 5 minutes late, it becomes to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be really late. And to be late is to be unthinkable. And as a professional musician, I'll tell my kids, you'll get to play the gig, but you won't ever be asked back.
And I think what you're saying is that there's an asset here in the discipline of music and the skill set of music and what it requires to be a music learner at every level, and that kind of as advocates and as teachers, we need to guide the unenlightened to the experience, and again, relentlessly positive. Again, going back 1,000 years ago, when I was in the classroom, I would do this regularly. Before evaluations, invite my administrators into the classroom for a 20-minute lesson demo, especially with third grade recorders when all this crazy stuff started happening. And then they realized that learning had moved from from rote to auditory to symbolic notation to inventive to writing, and they go, oh yeah, I know, that's learning theory, I get it, and all of a sudden, and they say your relevancy just went from here to here. But we can't be defensive that we have to prove that relevancy. We have to show that relevancy, and I think advocacy is part of just showing the relevancy. And sometimes we have to go deeper and actually to classroom demonstrations as well as the outcome. But what you've said about the discipline of music is inherent, and someone enters into it, there's a framework that they're entering into. Dalouge, was you going to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to add that we have a really powerful tool in the qualitative as well, and there is nothing more exciting than a performance or a display of the art of children or whatever the creative output may be. And music in particular, because it's such a longitudinal practice, because there is so much progress over time, we really benefit ourselves the more we demonstrate. These guys that perform today, they will probably perform 5 or 10 times just this month, which is a little bit different from the way most school music programs function. And I think we really do ourselves a disservice in thinking they can only perform when they're perfect, when in fact they may be perfect at 1 or 2 pieces and they may be learning another piece, and maybe that other piece isn't quite ready, but Orpheus and the Underworld, they've been playing that for 3 years. Well, it's just getting better and better. So, and then other pieces they just learned in the past year. They're constantly adding to their repertoire, and I think that the engagement that occurs in that performance exchange, if we use it regularly, adds to the sort of the quantifiable educational outcomes that schools are also so importantly paying attention
We
to.
have to tell a story from the first day of lessons to the last concert when they graduate. We have to. Now, do any of you work with local coalitions? Just quickly.
We probably all do.
Yeah, practically all do.
Definitely.
And how long have they been around? A couple of you answer. How long have they been around, and how do they help?
Well, in San Diego, there's sort of a variety of concentric circles of coalitions that all overlap.
We like that.
The most, I would say that right now the newest, which is sort of the most regionally focused, is the Arts Empower San Diego effort that's being led by the San Diego County Office of Education and the San Diego Foundation. And that is really about helping school districts develop long-term arts education master plans and building wider community awareness and support for music and for the arts. They're working with individual districts. So they actually convene administrators, and they convene the community arts providers. And then in the midst of that, we've got local alliances. The California Alliance for Arts Education has helped set up several local alliances throughout the county. And then we on our own individually will build our own coalition. So in Chula Vista, for example, we built a coalition that consists of the social service providers, along with the educators and university researchers, all paying attention to and participating in making the case for music. So we're a very collaborative community, I think, in San Diego County.
And I'd like to also add in San Diego, but it's San Diego County, we have an organization called the San Diego Arts Network, and those are for administrators of the arts to get together and try to figure out what's working in one place and why can't it work in mine, and that's support, and that's also led by the County Office of Education, as well as an organization called Arrow San Diego, which is the arts educators resources of San Diego, and that kind of a clearinghouse of all of these wonderful arts supporters and partners that you can bring in for nominal charges, fees to come in and support the work that you're doing in the classroom.
And then once a year, we try to get all of these groups together at an arts education summit, and that's one of the things that Center Artes at Cal State San Marcos in cooperation with the County Office of Ed sponsors. But one of the unique things about San Diego County, I think, is that we've got these different groups and alliances and coalitions, but everyone's willing and wants to work with each other. So there, none of the groups are working in isolation.
Was that always true?
Against.
Was that always true, or did that take a concerted effort also?
That took a concerted effort.
So let's be clear. This doesn't happen by magic.
No,
right?
it takes an effort. It takes folks getting together, working together, being willing, and quite honestly, I think being excited about the power in coming together. As opposed to staying isolated and doing our own little thing. So it's been a very powerful effort in San Diego County, and to a great extent, very successful.
So let's go to that question about what keeps you personally inspired. Working in coalitions, getting people together, have these long, drawn-out meetings and rehashing the same old thing. This is hard work, right? But the end game is so, we see progress. But what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
I'd like to quote a professor, a late professor from Point Loma Nazarene University, Dr. Dan Nelson, and he would say, Karen, it's all relational. It's all relational. That's what keeps me going. It's the people, it's the kids. I'll do anything for kids. It surprises me how passionate I am for what we're doing and for the job. And I think I've got the best job in the world, even though I work all the time. But it's relational. It's to see people and to get inspired by what they do.
How about you, Adam, as a junior member of this team? I say 1,000 years ago, as a music teacher, is approaching that. You're all kids.
There's a bunch of things that keep me focused, but 5 of them are right over there.
Yeah.
Those kids are just great, and seeing that, it's mostly when I go in front of a group of kids, and maybe I'll have a good day, maybe I'll have a bad day, but I'll, maybe in the space of a rehearsal frame of maybe 5 minutes, we'll go from not being able to play a part to 3 or 4 reps later, and the eyes perk up, and they say, I didn't think I could do that before. Yeah. And I just tried a little bit, and then all this was possible. When those kids get that spark, that's what keeps me going through all, the other stuff that we're talking about here, through all the difficulties that are going on, through the long hours that my wife and I don't see each other during the fall marching season. It just keeps us going when we see those kids doing that. The other thing it keeps us going is the kids wanting to do it. I'll have a couple of kids going, hey, are you playing anywhere outside? A couple of years ago, I was at just a rehearsal band at Scripps Ranch. I was playing in a jazz band, and a couple of my kids were like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, if you can bring your parents, come down to Scripps, the Marshall Middle School. There's going to be a professional jazz band. We're just going to rehearse for our next concert. I had 3 or 4 kids with their jaws dropping because there was a couple of guys there that recorded in L.A., and that were just there for the rehearsal. The next day, they came back and told all their friends about it, and they said, this is what we want to do.
It's
just so great.
It's like a logarithm, right? It's
yeah.
like it compounds. It's like the best compounding interest known to man.
Again, the coalition.
And like Merryl said, all kids are capable. All kids are capable. We just got to get them.
Well, and to that end, we talked about individual transformations and students having these great experiences, but music can transform societies and cultures. And I think back to being a kid. My dad grew up in Czechoslovakia, and he would listen to Radio Berlin, where he could get rock and roll music. And there's a picture of Elvis over here, which is his favorite. But 50s rockabilly, the Beatles, we've got the John Lennon bus out here today. And that music was inspirational because it was a representation of freedom. It was a representation of a vision for a better future. And that was part of what drew him to leave a country that was oppressed at the time and start a new life. And that music has had an influence in transforming societies. And you notice when things like the Berlin Wall come down, what do? They celebrate with music. And so we need to recognize that it's not just the individual transformations and the individual inspiration, but it has this collective impact which transcends what any one of us could imagine.
So we could say that by being here, your family has come full circle. You're back standing in the place that Elvis built, right?
Correct. Yes. If this were Graceland. Yes.
Right. If this were, it's close. It's close
It's
to
real
Graceland.
close.
You know, I think one of the things that you're hearing from the panel is that we recognize not only that, you know, the phenomenal joy in being able to be witness to kids' capabilities, but that we all can make a difference. You know, I mean, you know, everyone up here works like crazy cuckoo hours, you know, but why? In addition to knowing that the kids are capable, we also recognize that we can, given the effort, make a difference. And I think that's really one of the bottom lines of why we do what we do.
And this is thank you, Merrill. This is really a call to action to our coalition-inclined people in any community, anywhere, that you really can make a difference if you unite with others in your communities and find the network and take a step forward. Adam, did you want to add one more thing to that?
I just want to say also that having these strong programs and just continuously having them instills a really big sense of responsibility. I came from a really powerhouse high school program. During college, I was very lucky. I got to work with Jimmy Cheatham, who was over at UCSD, who was a professional musician for years. And he told me one thing, and it really stuck with me. And he said, and we were outside of class hours. I was meeting him for coffee, and I was having problems understanding something. And it was like maybe 12 at night. It was really, really late. It was one of those college days, you know. And I said, Jimmy, why are you out here at 11 p.m. helping me? And he said, because my mentors did the same exact thing for me. And you better do the same exact thing for your kids, or I'm going to come down and kick your butt. But it was mostly about we all feel a sense, and we're instilling a sense of civic responsibility to keep paying it forward in everybody. That also really helps when I have kids come back to me and say, thank you so much for what you taught me. I'm being sure that I teach that to my kids.
You know, in the Coalition and Advocacy 101, the toughest programs to eliminate are the ones that have the most visibility, are the most successful, have the most energy and inspiration behind them. You can't touch them, you know, and those communities have a way of building a legacy, and communities build around them. Any parting thoughts? We kind of moved around the agenda like I promised you we would. I didn't get to all the questions, but is there one question you really wanted to answer? I just want to go down and give you all a chance to do a little wrap-up before we end our call.
Well, I just wanted to thank NAMM. I do want to clarify an award that we got recently, and that was the Best Communities for Music Education in America for 2013. And San Diego Unified was a recipient of that this year, and we're very pleased with that. And people say, well, how did you guys get it? You don't have, you know, all of your music programs are not stellar. Illinois has, you know. What I want to respond to you is this was the best communities for music education. We have such a plethora and variety of genres of music, from barbershop to mariachi to Dixieland jazz to an unaccompanied minors, a group of singers that just came back from singing in the Vatican in Italy this summer. We have it all. We have bagpipes. We've got bagpipes. Did anybody know that? We have recorders. We've got just a plethora of that, plus the partnerships coming in. the parents are hugely supportive and advocates for our program. That makes us a community. And what I want to wish for everybody in San Diego County, and obviously across the nation, is I want to see every school district of best communities for music education, because the kids are there, you're there, and you can make it happen.
And as the organization that runs that program, we work very carefully with our research team to give the designation that communities apply for. They apply for it on their own. They apply for it. And we know that the circumstances there are not always perfect or ideal, but the drive and the will is there. And we want to award that community for the good work that they've done and for the achievements that they're seeking. So it's that kind of designation. Any other final thoughts from any of our wonderful panelists?
I just want to say that it is possible. So often we give up. We decide it's just been so long, it's just been so hard, the people aren't, the administrators aren't listening, or the parents aren't engaged. It really does not take more energy than we have to make this happen, to make music education happen, to make arts education happen for children. And as I have begun to tell people that the Chula Vista Elementary School District is hiring full-time music teachers for the first time in 15 years, they look at me like I have seen a unicorn. And I haven't. What I've seen is a community of people who have come to understand the power of the possibility that can be achieved through the presentation of music education to their children. And I want to encourage everyone that still believes or has that belief wavering, don't stop trying. Don't stop making this your priority.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well said.
Mr. Superintendent.
Well, thank you.
Last word.
I just wanted to express a sense of gratitude for being here. Thank you for inviting us to participate. Thanks to NAMM, the Museum of Making Music. But I also feel so grateful to be in a community that has such talented, capable, and dedicated music educators. And I would be remiss if I didn't invite you all to the Vista Festival of the Arts.
Oh, yay.
October 19th, it's the 10th annual, and it'll be a great way to celebrate our students and the great things happening in our region.
Wonderful. Please give a thanks to our panel. Thank you. Well, if this was the first of our community forums, I can't wait for the rest. This was wonderful. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you who are joined us via the webcast today, and the great folks in the room, many of who are parents, grandparents related to our wonderful students that are with us. So please stay tuned closely to the Support Music Coalition on our Facebook page, at our website, supportmusic.com, via Merryl NAMM Twitter feed. Really are eager to keep you informed about the events that are coming in the next several weeks from around the country. This is the year that coalition locally needs to unite and form and become strong and important for the students in your community. Some great examples to follow, some great inspiration. We will be posting the recording of this Support Music Coalition in the next 24 hours. Please forward it on to a school administrator. Please forward it on to your parents in your community, and keep in touch with all of us at the Support Music Coalition and the NAMM Foundation. I can't thank enough our remarkable students that have been here today, and it is very fitting that we'll end our webcast with a performance by the San Diego Youth Symphony OPUS Quintet.
Thank